And just like that, the first half of 2024 is over, and with it, a whole slew of movies have arrived. And what we are here to do today with our pal Stefano is to rank our top 5 movies from the first half of 2024. Let's get into it.
This is Popcorn for Breakfast, presented by St. Louis Area Smoothie Kings. Now, here are your hosts, Cam and Kirk.
Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Popcorn for Breakfast. With me, as always, Kirk.
Hello, hello.
How you doing, Kirk?
I'm doing great. I'm feeling energetic.
Yeah, I saw that dramatic spin from the camera.
I thought
we should have coordinated probably, but whatever.
You could spin now if you want.
I won't. The moment has passed, and that's okay.
It could be fun.
No, it's all right. I was just asking how you were, so you could just answer the question.
Oh, I wasn't listening.
All right.
Clearly. I'm doing great, Cam. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, especially because one of our favorite people of all time, Mr. Billy Big Bucks himself, Stefano, has graced us with his presence.
Here I am. Happy to be here. And bold from Kirk because he just showed to the world he's wearing shorts right now. You know, I expect him to be fully suited up in some slacks, but...
Could you see my shorts?
Oh, that's bad.
In this video?
I could see your bare knee.
Oh, boy. Now we're going to have to put it like some sort of content warning on this video. Jeez.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, they're nice shorts. I didn't wear like gym shorts or something crazy.
Yeah, no, that's good. You know? I'm wearing gym shorts. So
Scandalous.
Thanks a lot.
I'm also wearing shorts.
All right.
You're also both wearing hats, and I don't have a hat. I feel left out. I'm so sorry, guys.
No, you're not usually a hat guy.
Yeah, you never wear a hat.
That's
my
okay.
hair. Once I have a hat on, my hair is hat hair all day. So hat all day.
Yeah.
That's same. So. Once you make that move, you're in it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. Like once you've committed, it's done. It's
the only recovery is a shower. Guys, this is a movie review podcast, but we're chatting about hair. Thanks for joining us.
We are. I also called Stefano Billy Big Bucks because he has been rebuffing all of my invites to free movies over the last couple of weeks. I'm like, hey, Stefano, you want to go see Daddy-O? Hey, Stefano, you want to go see Maxine? He's like, no, sorry. I've got various sporting events to attend, and I'm going to spend real money on movies in the meantime. So I'm like, wow.
It just happens. I'm an AMC A-list member, so
not like us. We live in poverty over here on the east side. We have no AMCs. We have no free movie anything. No reward program.
Nothing.
In fact, the only major theater chain in our area who will remain nameless removed their program. They were teasing. They were like, there's going to be a program. It's coming. Here it comes. And then it just went away, which
vanished overnight, practically.
Off the website. So that's what we're dealing with here. But today we're dealing with the first half of 2024, January through June is where I'm drawing the line.
Okay.
If you saw a movie released after June 30th, you may not speak about it.
Uh-oh, I got to check my calendar.
So that would be Despicable Me 4, which I know you had on your list, and Maxine, and Horizon Part 1. So what were you going to say, Stefano?
No, it's like, Kirk, if you watched it and it released before, it's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
If you watched it, yes, that's fine.
Okay, cool.
It's the release date. It's when it was released.
Got it.
Yeah.
I'm still confused, but you guys can help me out.
If you name a movie that breaks the rules, we will berate you.
We will destroy you.
I'll allow that.
Okay.
So here's the rules of how we do this. And for those of you who tuned in at the end of last year for our top, or was it the beginning of this year? Top movies of 2023, top 10. We're going to give our 5. It's not going to be like when we do Scene Stealer and Showstopper and stuff like that where you can't duplicate picks. You can't talk about them separately. So when somebody brings up a movie, if you have it on your list, you name it, and then you give your thoughts as well.
That's right.
Sound good? Who should we start with? Usually we have Stefano start. I feel
Stefano, I think it's time for you to shine.
He always kind of gives us a hard time about,
I guess I'll start.
We'll let him start.
We want to hear you so we can reshuffle our cards before we give ours.
Smart, veteran move. All right, number 5, Stefano.
All right, just so you know, I was prepared to go top 15, top 20. It's a tough list.
Oh.
I'm really happy with my top 10, but we'll go with my 5. And it recently moved into number 5, Problemista, the Julio Torres written, directed movie. I wrote a full review on it for you guys for the podcast. Absolutely loved it. Hysterical, unique, heartwarming. It's got a little bit of everything. And I watched it for a screening for you all, and then I rewatched it the other day. Literally texted you guys, hey, I need to go in and adjust my score. It was already high. It's a glowing review. Adjusted it to even higher because after rewatch, I may have even liked it more. So Problemista is my number 5.
That's big.
That's
big. A big time. And Kirk, you recently watched it too because it's on Max.
I did. And can I cut in here? That's also my number 5.
Oh, there we go. 2 birds, 1 stone.
Same slot. Yeah, I was very jealous at the time that Stefano went and saw the early screening of this because I read about it. I saw the trailer. I'm like, this is going to be such a home run. And he got to see it right away. I think he even watched it it's on Max right now. I think he watched it on Max before any of us could. So I tuned it on the other night and I was like, this is absolutely one of the best of the year. And it immediately grabbed my number 5 spot.
That's great. And it works out that I actually haven't seen it yet because there's no chance it's in my top 5 because I haven't seen it yet. So that'll work out. But also I'm shamefaced for not having watched it because Stefano always lets us know, like, he was like, wake up, you zombies. It's time to watch Problemista. And I didn't do it. I didn't answer the call. So,
but did you hear? Stefano is an A-lister.
I know. So. Must be nice. It's a lot easier to watch movies when you got that going for you.
Yeah.
All right, so then I get to give my 5 because you already gave 5.
Number 5 for Cam.
My number 5 is the Bikeriders. Jeff Nichols, Jodie Comer, Austin Butler, Tom Hardy. We reviewed it on the pod. I gave it a very high score. Big fan of this movie. Big fan of just Jeff Nichols. I feel like this guy, he can do almost no wrong. The writer-director extraordinaire. This movie just has it all. The characters are so great. And the story's a little predictable, and that's okay because the character arcs are solid, and Jodie Comer's accent is insane. But then you're like, is it too insane? And then you go listen to the voice of the actual lady who she was portraying, and it's dead on accurate.
Wow.
So I just will say, like, for future reference, not that I was doubting it. I will never doubt a Jodie Comer accent again. She's on the money. And Tom Hardy was doing an insane accent too. That was totally preposterous and made up, but I was buying it.
Beautiful. So I got to raise my hand again here.
Yo, do it.
Because it's on my top 5, right?
Where's it at?
Bikeriders is number 1 on my list.
Whoa!
Numero uno.
Kirk's not going to get to kick off any of these.
I'm not. I'm not. I was really just shook by how much I loved this movie because I'm never going to ride a motorcycle, literally ever. Mm-hmm. I've never been on one. I've never been a passenger. It's not going to happen because I will die immediately in any situation. So I was
any situation,
sidecar, anything. I'm dead immediately. I have a fierce passion for Austin Butler's career, for his success, as you all know. Giant Elvis fan, and I've just been looking for him to continue his success as he has. And I loved every beat that he put into that movie. Cam has spoken several times about the very first line of that movie Austin Butler has, and it immediately captures your attention. He is in it from the very first second. So big, just all the accolades. I think Bikeriders should be at the top of everyone's list, or at least in the top 5. That's me off my soapbox now.
I love it. Which begs the question, Stefano, is the Bikeriders in your top 5?
It is not.
Have you seen it?
I have seen it. I think I texted you both immediately after it.
You did. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I remember that now.
There's a lot I liked about it, especially Jodie Comer's performance. Some things I'm a little hesitant on, but I liked it more than I disliked it. So not quite in my top 5, top 10, but it's in the middle of the pack. But yeah, good stuff.
Nice.
I like it. All right. Stefano, number 4.
We can, I guess Kirk would have 3 already.
So wait.
Should we have Kirk give his number 4?
Yeah, you should give your 4 in case.
Just so you have something unique.
Just in case you get all of your stolen.
I think this one will be unique. I don't think this is on either of your top 5.
Perfect.
Prove it.
Inside Out 2.
True.
It's not on my top 5.
All right, there we go. That's mine. You can't take it. Inside Out 2, I remember watching Inside Out 1 with my son. He's now 10. I think he was like 3 when that came out. Way too young to like really comprehend that movie. I remember him sitting on the couch next to me and I was like sobbing. My wife had left the room and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is beautiful. And so eventually he came to like love it. And so getting to see this one with him and my daughter, my older daughter, getting to see them at the right age for this was pretty exciting. And it was such a home run. I mean, it's made over $1 billion at the box office. The story is a slam dunk. I have high anxiety. The story is about anxiety. Loved it. That's probably exactly why it's in my top 4, because I relate to it so hard on so many levels.
Yeah, it's a very relatable movie. I feel like more so for people who have lived a little bit more, and that's why I think it hits home. And I think they were trying to kind of age the movie with their audience a little bit, and I think that's good and bad, but I think it's certainly like really effective.
Yeah,
it's up there for me as well. All right. So now what? Stefano's number 4?
Sure.
Let's do it.
All right. My number 4 is Challengers.
Nice.
And this was one, I was excited initially, and then I felt like they delayed the release, and I thought that the writing was on the wall that, we might have a misstep here. And it wasn't the case. I thought it was absolutely awesome. And, I know people are hit or miss on Luca as a director. I'm more hit, but then it's mainly just because I love Suspiria so much. Like thinking back to Call Me By Your Name, I'm a little lukewarm on. Bones and All, I was lukewarm on, but I know he has it. He can make something great. And this was so unique just because it took itself seriously enough, but it was also the right balance of soap opera-ish. And I think a comparison that people have been making is comparing it to an anime. Just the way some of it is shot, the way the story is framed. You have these like dramatic battle sequences. The performances are through the roof. It's awesome. It's so unique. And like, I think without being hyperbolic, there are only so many like sports movies made, a movie that's based totally around sports. And I tried running through the list. I'm sure I'll think differently because I love Rocky and stuff, but it's one of my favorite sports movies ever, probably, if not my favorite. It's just like has all the things going for it. Also an awesome score as well. Was bumping that for a few days after. So we'll see, but I loved it. It's my number 4.
Were you bumping it on the tennis court?
Stefano? I can't play tennis.
Tennis is hard.
I'm pretty coordinated. I can kind of play whatever, but tennis, absolutely not.
That's why I said
pickleball. That's the name of the game, because that's like tennis for drunk, uncoordinated people.
Yeah.
And I feel like that.
Are you saying that Stefano?
No, I'm just saying like you could play it. You could play it if you're uncoordinated.
Okay.
That's true.
And like it's a game. It's kind of like cornhole. Like you could play it
leisurely,
under any circumstances.
Okay.
But tennis is hard. Tennis is
very
really
difficult.
hard.
Yeah.
Challengers is my number 2.
Ooh.
Yes, sir.
My number 2. Love this movie. Wrote a glowing review for our website. Yeah, this movie really has a lot going for it, and it's one of those movies that rolls credits and you kind of gasp, like, immediate buzz, and it's a polarizing movie. I've seen a lot of people drag this movie through the dirt.
Wow.
Because it just is that kind of movie. But this is Luca at his sauciest. I mean, he is like I'm with you, Stefano. Like, you and I have pretty similar viewpoints on Luca, it would seem, because I was also not high on Bones and All, not high on Call Me By Your Name. I even rewatched Call Me By Your Name prior to Challengers and still didn't love it, but I was a fan of Suspiria. I think Challengers is his best. I think it's a great movie. It's a great score. It's really fun. Is it melodramatic? Yeah, but in all the best ways. And that's totally what makes it a good time.
I haven't seen Challengers, but my favorite thing about Challengers is the Spider-Man tie-in that every Mary Jane immediately following their Spider-Man run has run to a tennis movie.
Yeah.
Kirsten Dunst in Wimbledon, Emma Stone in
Battle of the Sexes,
and this, of course, with Zendaya. pretty crazy. Like, how is that even possible?
It's weird. It's weird for sure. Gotta love it. It's another like Lincoln had a secretary named Kennedy. Kennedy had a secretary named Lincoln situation.
They both have this many numbers, letters in their names, and nuts.
Awesome. Shout out quickly because we didn't talk about it. The 3 lead performances, Mike Faye, Zendaya, and Josh O'Connor, were all amazing. So much of it worked because of all of them. So
yeah, they're all going to be very busy people over the next few years. Obviously Zendaya, but sure. I think to a less, like, people didn't realize that Josh O'Connor and Mike Weiss were going to burst onto the scene like that.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm like totally discombobulated.
So that was my 4.
That was your 4.
We got Kirk's 4. Yep. So we need your 4.
We need my 4?
Number 4. Cam.
Oh yeah, sure enough. My 4 is A Quiet Place Day 1. Big fan of this movie. Saw it recently, reviewed it on the pod. It was so unexpected in so many different ways, and I love that about it. I love the inclusion of all of the different story elements that I just did not see coming. Both the like, and there's minor spoilers here. The Lupita Nyong'o like cancer hospice plot line that's going on there, as well as I love, as I said on the podcast, love Joseph Quinn's character and can relate to it on such a deep level. There's just a ton of really rich thematic story character stuff going on there, and just some really great filmmaking overall in terms of color. The sound design is amazing. It totally floored me. I was unexpected. I did not expect it to be as good as it was, and it was fantastic. So that's my 4.
Beautiful.
It's not quite on my list, but agree with you. It's been a year. It's been a great year for movies. This one was close. Agree with everything you said. There is like a particular set piece. Well, I would say just scene in the movie, middle of the movie, where it's just kind of a conversation between the 2 main characters, and I'm like, totally forgot we were even in the A Quiet Place universe, and it was just really excellent stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. I heard awesome. From my favorite podcast company, Popcorn for Breakfast, that it's coming to streaming pretty quickly. So I'm going to wait on this one until it hits my streaming platform.
Is it coming to streaming?
It's doing really well right now.
It makes no sense. It made like $100 million its opening weekend in the domestic box office, and they're just like, we're done.
It's kind of bonkers. I mean, same
Maybe
thing.
It's because they saw the crowd I had in my theater at a 5 p.m. showing on a Thursday. There were about 14 teenagers who thought they were watching it in their living room. Sorry, I'll stop ranting.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's terrible. Yeah. I mean, it's following the same path as like If, right? So John Krasinski's If, which I thought did decently well at the box office. But
so the theme here is what? Paramount?
Or John Krasinski.
Both. I think both, because I think his deal is with them. So
I spent $25 to buy If for my kids, and 3 days later it was on a streaming platform. That's all I'm saying.
You got man. That's
I'm upset, brutal. And I'd like a check written out for me, John Krasinski.
You should send a complaint to Paramount Plus. They deserve it. Okay, on to number 3. And where do we go? Whose 3 has been taken? Anybody's? No. I don't think anybody's.
No one's 3. 3's on the board.
Okay, let's go back to Stefano then.
Okay, Stefano it is.
I'm assuming this one is shared. My number 3 is Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. I think that's the full official name. I'm sure everybody was nervous, those that loved Fury Road, because it's going to be hard to live up to that. But what I thought was so excellent about Furiosa was they made it feel like an essential prequel. I think the lazy detractors, I feel like the way I said like a politician, the lazy detractors, saying, oh, the outcome, right? Why does it matter? But if you have that thought process when watching movies, you probably just don't deserve to watch movies. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's my opinion on it. So well made, totally, like, it feels very different. It has its own, the color grading is different. The way it's edited is slightly different. Yes, it feels like Fury Road, but they feel like they can live in the same universe, but also be separate entities. You can enjoy them together or separately. All the performances throughout were amazing. The child actor that played the young Furiosa, everyone in it, outstanding. And I remember this guy next to me at the movie was just kicking his feet like a toddler. Like the entire movie, just so excited, because that's just the kind of energy the movie brings. Totally love it. and was happy I wasn't let down. So Furiosa is my number 3.
Yes, Elila Brown, Young Furiosa.
Thank you.
I think you called her out
did.
your review. Is that right?
I sure did.
Is Furiosa on your list?
It is.
It's on mine too. What number is it for you?
Mine is also shared with Stefano, number 3.
That's also my number.
Hey, jackpot!
Threes are wild. You want to go?
Go ahead. You first.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much more to add other than just to say, like, there's people who say, like, what's going to happen, so you don't need it, like Stefano said. I also saw a lot of people say, like, it makes Fury Road worse because one of the things that's good about Fury Road is that you don't know these things, and, like, having that lack of context makes it more interesting, and I just wholeheartedly disagree with that. I feel like, again, like, what are we doing? Like, it's cool that Fury Road works without that context, but Fury Road is so much better with that context now. And that's what a prequel should do, is enhance the original movie. I love Anya Taylor-Joy in this role, in really any role. But I just love how George Miller, like, I know outside of this franchise, there's not a lot, like 3,000 Years of Longing and whatnot, whatever. But when he's in Mad Max land, he's cooking. So you just got to love it.
Yeah, I really sincerely enjoyed this movie. It's not a perfect movie, but it's something that cannot be duplicated by anyone else.
Thanks.
It really is just so phenomenal to watch, even if it's not your cup of tea, which apparently it was not, judging by the box office numbers. A lot of people strayed away from this, as they did with Fury Road. This just seemed to have more momentum, of course, because people fell in love with Fury Road after the fact. So still sad about the box office numbers for it. And the prequel argument, like what you like, have your opinions, but I am also with Cam on this. Like, it was a very successful prequel storyline. It set up the green place very well. That's what I was going into, and I was like, they just got to get the green place right, and anything else that falls into place will just be fun, right? That's exactly how I felt about
and
this
Immortan
one.
Joe. I mean, come on, like,
Love
talk about
the
like
expansion of his character.
Yeah.
Take a sinister character that you're like, what's his deal, and make him all the more sinister because you're like, man, these people are like willing to literally die for him. Like, I don't know, it's epic. So threes are wild. We all had Furiosa at number 3. And now we're into the top 2, which I've already given my 2.
And I've given my number 1.
You've given your number 1, and Stefano has not given 2 yet. So either one of you guys can go.
Kirk, you go for it.
I'll go. This is my last one on the board. It is going to be Dune Part 2.
Nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pretty sure you guys are sharing this somewhere on your list. So, I mean, Dune 1 came, saw it in my living room because of COVID. Not the best viewing experience at all, obviously. But Dune Part 2, early screening, IMAX. Wow, what an adventure. I felt like we were literally riding that sandworm when we were watching the movie. Really just blew my socks off. I was really impressed with so much of it. And it's going to stick with me for a while. I mean, we have some pretty big epics going into the awards season over the rest of this year, and I can't imagine where it's going to land on which one's going to pull to the front line with visuals and with sound. But man, is this one so incredible!
Right. I have Dune Part 2 as number 2. So this unfortunately means that Kirk and I shared 3 movies in the same spot.
Hold on.
The same
Unfortunately, he says.
I'm kidding, but I would like to call out. I don't want to bring back old stuff, but I vividly remember the Dune Part 2 review you both had, and Kirk gave Dune Part 2 like a 7-8.
Yeah, what happened? What happened?
Right now it's his number 2. So just something to revisit. I'm glad you're higher on it now, though.
I am.
That's awesome.
Retcon. I need to retcon the score.
I'll jump in. I have it at number 2 as well. Not much else to add, but it kind of cemented it as, one of the great series of sci-fi movies ever made. And I think what the feeling I had watching this was the feeling I had kind of watching Return of the King, even though this is the second one and that was the third one. It's that type of movie where all the battles that you want to happen. I remember being scared, like, oh, is he going to cut it off here? Or are we going to get everything? We got everything. Obviously, it was the conclusion of the book, but it gives you everything you're looking for, but doing it in a way only Denny can. And just absolutely loved it. And it's also one of those where, like, my mom will dabble in some sci-fi here and there, but it's one of those movies where even people that don't like the genre have fallen for this movie in this series and absolutely love it. And I think there's some phenomenal movies so far this year, but I think this one is the only one right now that you can like Sharpie in as like a Best Picture nominee. No doubt in my mind this will be there. So
I wholeheartedly agree with that, and that's why it's my number one. So I think all of our picks are off the board then, unless Stefano, have you given your one?
My number one is
okay,
still
great.
This is exciting.
I'll speak about Dune Part 2. I'm extraordinarily high on this movie. It's obviously number one on my list. I gave it a really high review on the podcast. I'm a huge fan of the book, and I love what Denis did with it. I know there's a lot of book naysayers out there. I know that because I'm on like Dune TikTok and Dune Twitter, from having read the series, and I'm still working my way through the end of the series. So maybe I'll become enlightened and figure out why they didn't like some of the things he did. But I just feel like everything that felt antiquated or not relevant in today's world of storytelling and today's social, geopolitical climate, etc., was answered for by Denis, and he did it in a way that was really thoughtful, really in reverence to the original work. He changed things, but he didn't do it disrespectfully or like in a way where he's like, that sucks, I'm changing it. He just changed it in a way that made the whole thing flow better, and I love it. I love the ending, the huge like cliffhanger, what's going to come next, and I cannot wait for Messiah. I think it's going to be crazy. People who don't understand like Dune the book, like Dune 1 from Messiah is like the most insane change of pace ever. Like the entire tone and tenor of the series changes like at the drop of a hat. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how Denis is going to navigate that or how it's going to go. I think people's heads are going to absolutely freaking explode, but it's going to be awesome. It's going to be worth watching either way. And I'm literally giddy about it because Dune 2 was so good. So yeah, I agree. Oscar Best Picture, it needs to be there. For me, the last thing I'll say on this is it's one thing to make a movie with great storytelling and great characters and great visual effects, etc. It's another thing to scale that up to $1 billion. That's why on this podcast I talk so much about scale. Mm-hmm. Oppenheimer, scale. That changes the game. Those are the movies that are remembered forever. It's not to say you can't make an iconic film on a low budget. Right. Hello, Everything Everywhere All at Once. But when you're making a blockbuster and you can make it as emotionally impactful as something like that, but scale it to $1 billion, that's next level. Versus
the 1970s Dune, in which they have their shields up and they look like giant Gumby characters.
They look like when you use the big head cheat on 007 GoldenEye.
DK mode. That's right.
It legit looks just like that. It's wild.
Oh, it's so terrible. It's so bad.
Okay, so our lists are spent.
We're done.
And Stefano's got number one, and I'm like waiting on bated breath. I think I know what it might be, but Stefano, take it away.
You probably know. My number one is I Saw the TV Glow.
There it is.
Yes. So this is Jane Schoenbrun's second movie. So their debut was a movie called We're All Going to the World's Fair, and it was what made it so interesting was it was kind of based on creepypasta culture, right? Like these scary stories that people read.
Hold on.
And how
did you say creepypasta culture? What did you say?
Yes, Kirk, get him. Creepypasta. I'm not going to give a lesson on creepypastas, but essentially it's this like style of scary story that just kind of gets passed along online and people read them, and there's like that's how kind of Slender Man came to be and all this stuff. So basically that movie was about getting too involved in those stories and almost taking it for real life, things like that. So this one kind of takes a look at children's scary TV shows like Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, things like that. And it takes that kind of culture of growing up in those periods and how people would identify themselves in these TV shows, not too different than, what people do today. But the movie is so unique. It's visually stunning, and it's such a specific story. And I wrote a glowing review, no pun intended, for you guys, where it has to be seen with an understanding of like what's trying to come across from it. If it's taken for complete face value, then you can get kind of lost in what's it all for. It's very much a movie that was made with a purpose. And if you watch it and you don't see that, then you're not going to get much from it, because everything that happens to these characters and the way the story moves it all revolves around, its main theme, which, I don't want to get into too much detail because I would love people to watch it. It's underwatched, but also very, very popular. You can tell the folks on Twitter and Reddit love it. But you can also see like the Rotten Tomatoes audience score, the IMDb stars that are low, because it's like, what in the world did I just watch? But, it's hard to describe. It's genreless. It's horror adjacent. It's drama. It's really, really well done. And for those people that don't want to get too scared, I recommend it. I know you two are hesitant about scary movies. You will not get scared on this. If anything, we kind of grew up in the age where a lot of this takes place. So I can't recommend it enough. I saw the TV Glow, my favorite of the year so far.
I love it. Though, Stefano, you're going to be proud of me, and I know I texted you this, but I have to reiterate. I am going to see Longlegs tomorrow by myself.
Wow.
At night.
Just a reminder, one time, was it right after we viewed It Chapter 2? I arrived to the recording location, and Cam ran out the side of the house with 50 inflated balloons, red shouting, balloons. Hiya, Kirky!
Yeah, it was bad.
Most horrifying thing I've ever seen.
He almost died.
I'm going to find a way to do something to you.
Well, you might not have to, because if the critic reviews thus far for Longlegs are to be believed, I will die of fear in my seat in the auditorium. And if I don't, then the movie's been overhyped, because I've heard that from everybody who has seen it, that it is the scariest thing ever. And I am expecting to die of fright.
You know what I would absolutely love to do? This takes too much effort, but I'm just going to say it. I would love to coordinate with your wife. And you would arrive Thursday night back at your home, and I would already be under your covers.
No.
I'd be in the bed alone.
No.
You wouldn't be able to see me. And you reach back the covers, and I have these long gray dreadlocks, supposedly, as Nick Cage has.
Yeah.
And I go, blah!
And then you would die. Then you would die.
Because you would kill me.
Because I would kill you. Yeah. Facts.
Excellent.
Yeah. So let's not have that happen. Instead,
I'll be right back. I have to go have a conversation with not your wife.
Totally unrelated. Let's instead recap our top fives real quick before we go here.
Sure.
Stefano, starting at 5.
Number 5, Problemista. Number 4, Challengers. Number 3, Furiosa. Number 2, Dune Part 2. And number 1, I Saw the TV Glow.
Excellent. Kirk?
Mine. Number 5, Problemista. Number 4, Inside Out 2. Number 3, Furiosa. Number 2, Dune Part 2. And number 1, The Bikeriders.
Excellent. And my 5 were number 5, The Bikeriders. Number 4, A Quiet Place Day 1. Number 3, Furiosa, A Mad Max Saga. Number 2, Challengers. And number 1, Dune Part 2. Whew. We made it. Lots of overlap, but that's to be expected. And I think that because it's only the first half of the year, and I think when we go back and do this exercise as our top 10 at the end of the year, we're going to see a lot of diversity. But man, it, like you said, Stefano, it's been a good year for movies. But before we go, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about a stinker. Worst movie you've seen this year. I'll kick this one off since you guys have been doing the heavy lifting all this evening. One worst movie, not multiple. One. I got to go Argyle. Argyle sucks. That movie.
It's god awful. Did I see it first, or did you all? Somebody texted. I think I texted you all maybe, and I was like, "This is a pile of junk." But
yeah,
I think you all might have seen it.
I think
already.
we saw.
I feel
it
like
first.
it was me because I went with my mom.
Oh, did you?
I think
that's right.
I think I went first and texted you guys, and I was like, "Yo, I don't know." And then Stefano saw it, and I think Kirk was last to see it. I think. I know Matthew Vaughn was. I felt a little bad for him because he was kind of like, I don't know why people don't like this movie. I feel
no, that's kind of what angered me. I think he just takes himself so seriously.
Yeah. I was like, really, bro? You don't know? Because like, rewatch it. Because I think it's pretty. He's like, I thought we were having a good time. I'm like, I was not having a good time. Argyle's so bad. I think it's done irreparable damage to Bryce Dallas Howard's acting career.
She'll never work again.
I don't think she should ever work again as an actor. I think she's done. It's over. Okay, so that's Argyle. Kirk?
I'll go next. I just want to bring up a quote from the movie I'm about to tell you about because it's pretty impressive. This is real dialogue from the movie I'm about to tell you. Quote, Elvis is using Pop's mine. He's using Pop's mine to take weapons from the military depot. End quote. That is a real dialogue that Jessica Alba speaks in Trigger Warning on Netflix.
Did you write that down?
I paused the movie. I put it on my Letterboxd review because I was like, this must be spoken to the masses.
Oh.
That movie starts off with terrible. So there's like a gunfight. She's in the military. She's in a remote location. She's a good guy fighting the bad guys.
Sure.
They're driving on one stretch of land that they permitted and requested from whatever location. There is CGI dust floating around them. No. And then it intercuts to some of the worst LED screened. And someone literally, if you were a car, Cameron, this is how I would. Oops, I almost spoke to you.
You're fine.
I would shake the car as if it's rocking like this as they're firing weapons. The worst movie of the year goes to Trigger Warning.
I haven't seen that one. Now I won't. No, I probably will because it sounds amazing. Stefano?
Before I continue, if you watch Trigger Warning before I saw the TV glow, I will
we'll be done.
Any future appearances.
That's fair. That's actually very fair.
Okay. Worst movie I've seen this year. I spend a lot of time of praising horror movies because it's an underwatched genre, I feel like, but by far the worst movie I've seen this year is Imaginary.
Ooh.
And what really bothered me about this one so much, it's one of those, wide release movies that, a lot of unsuspecting folks just kind of waltz into because it's playing at the theater. It's there for a couple weeks. And there were a lot of trailers for this one, too. I remember seeing so many trailers. There was a shot of the not scary shot of the teddy bear with the pulley string, and it kind of, runs down the hallway. But it's just like, it's such a waste of life. It's so boring. And it's just a whole bunch of nothing. And what bothered me, and I think I wrote it in my Letterboxd review, it's like, people see this, like they'll go to the theater once every 2 months and they'll see this and they'll be like, oh, well, that's why I don't go see horror movies, because a junk like this exists. So curse this movie, curse everybody involved in this movie. It's terrible. And it's by far the worst movie you'll watch about imaginary friends all year. Because we have this, we have If, and we have The Imaginaries, which is actually on Netflix now.
Yeah.
That's an anime film that I need to check out. So Imaginary, worst of the year.
Terrible concept too. I mean, that's been done 1,000 million times. I mean, it's just been done so many times.
Dreadful.
That's bad. Is that Blumhouse?
Yes.
Yes, it is. And this is, the perks of A-list. Being an A-list member, I can spend zero money on stuff like this.
There you go. Yeah, you need that. That's a toughie. All right.
Wow.
Well, we did it. That's the first half of the year. Any parting thoughts before we turn the page to the next half?
I have some parting thoughts. I am very curious to see how shared these lists will be come the end of the year. I'm very curious.
Yeah. I imagine not super shared. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It just feels like there's a lot. There's a deep depth of field this year with movies. I feel like at this time last year, granted, I think we had already had Barbie and Oppenheimer, or did that happen in July?
Don't remember.
Either way, it wasn't the same. Last year, I don't feel like was this deep this early, and there's still a ton of heavy hitters waiting in the wings. So we'll see. I think it'll be varied, and I don't necessarily feel like I said, like outside of Dune, I don't feel like any of my top 5 are surefire Oscars slam dunk. Like I feel that way about challengers, but I might be the only one who feels that way. Maybe the Academy will hate it. So we'll see.
Stefano, anything from you, sir?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
Awesome.
That's all I've got.
Well, thank you for joining us, Stefano, as always. If you like Stefano's opinions, you can find more of them on popcorn4breakfast.com. Actually, we've all been a bunch of blog boys recently.
Yeah, good Lord.
Just blogging it up.
A bunch of blog boys.
Lordy, so many blogs. So
Billy Blog Big Bucks.
Billy Big Blogger. That's all of us right now. So if you like our opinions, some more so than others, probably mine, because they're pretty good. You can find more of them at popcorn4breakfast.com. Of course, you can connect with us in myriad other ways as well, including our Discord server where you can come and chat with us about movies really on the daily. Today I posted a helpful tip that you could get $5 off of a Fandango ticket if you bought it today using the promo code with Apple Pay.
Wow.
So that was in the Discord. There's lots of good nuggets in there. We talk about movies in there. It's a good time. We've also, it's completely free. Also, I've seen a lot of people charging for Discord servers, so I want to be clear that it's completely free. We also are on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, every other one, and YouTube, of course, if you're watching, and every podcast platform. So be sure to subscribe, connect with us. We're so glad you're here and spent your time with us. We do want to give a special thanks to our executive producer, Ryan, as well as our title sponsor, St. Louis Area Smoothie Kings, and the band Rhetoric, who created our original music, which you're about to hear again right now. Thanks so much for being here, and we'll catch you next time.
We will talk to you then.